now?
Well, it's December 1985, and I just couldn't end the year without talking about myself at great lengths. So, my friend Molly flew in from Australia, and we're going to have a little chat. Right, Molly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Coming from Australia and going into New York in a day's notice, or sort of coming on in a day as well, the first thing that strikes me is Madonna, the Virgin Tour, and the first words that come out of your mouth from that tape. So can you just try to remember them and say what you said then?
You mean the introduction of the film? But Molly, that'll give it away.
I went to New York, I had a dream. I wanted to be a big star. I didn't know anybody. I wanted to dance, I wanted to sing. I wanted to do all those things. I wanted to make people happy. I wanted to be famous. I wanted everybody to love me. I wanted to be a star. I worked really hard and my dream came true.
Okay, the Madonna Virgin Tour. I mean, like, it's putting yourself out, not only on the road, but in front of a lot of people. Now, the people loved it, and that was proven. Some of the critics hated it. They wanted to...
My tour?
They wanted to shoot you down, you know?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So how did you cope with that?
Well, I think overall I ignored them because I knew deep down in my heart that it was good. And that I was also always going to meet up, and I will in the future meet up with a certain amount of, you know, controversy, a certain amount of opposition to what I'm doing.
Okay, if you look at the video version, I mean the Virgin Tour video, it looks great, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not that easy to put that together, you know? And especially, I mean, for yourself. I mean, like, the dancers, the musicians, I mean, there was a backing group that hadn't been there before on your records. So, I mean, like, how did you do that?
How did I put the show together?
Yeah, how did the process of you putting a tour together?
Well, the main and most important thing was getting the band together, and I auditioned East Coast and West Coast musicians, and wherever the majority of the good musicians were, that's where I decided to set up, you know, like, shop. It just turned out that almost everybody I used in my tour I found in Los Angeles, so that's where I really put together the tour. I brought one guy out from New York, and it also ended up that that's where I found all the dancers, although I auditioned people from everywhere.
Okay, so you decide then to sort of put this sort of situation together. You put yourself through a strenuous thing. I mean, number one, you have to sing.
Right.
And number two, you put yourself through this immense dancing routine from number to number to number, you know?
Well, what I would do is I'd spend all afternoon working out all the choreography and the staging of the show with me and the dancers, and then I'd go at night and work with the musicians. And then when it got, and we rehearsed like this separate, me and the dancers and then me and the musicians for about a month. And then we spent about 3 or 4 weeks putting it all together on the soundstage. Then everybody came together, and I had a great choreographer to work with, so he sort of watched over the whole, you know, what it was like visually, and everybody started working together, but I had to take it in pieces.
Songs, you know, I mean, Dress Me Up. I mean, how did you feel?
Dress you up.
Dress me up. Right, go on. I mean, it's almost... a climax in itself. You know, it's not the climax to the show. You know?
No, it's the first song in the
Yeah.
show. Well, you gotta, when you start a show, you gotta come on strong, or you're not gonna hold them through the rest of the show. You gotta have a great beginning and a great middle and the best ending so that they don't forget you when they leave. So I'd say that Dress You Up was a great way to start it. And Material Girl was the way I ended it, and sort of the high point in the middle was like something like Gambler.
Okay, in 16 months, you've had 11 staggering hits. 11, and that's a lot, you know? It's
Yeah.
almost one a month, you know?
Yeah.
They're all on the Virgin Tour performance.
Mm-hmm.
Which is your favourite?
My favorite song or my
Yeah.
favorite?
Your favourite song and then your favourite performance.
Get Into the Groove. Get Into the Groove, to me, sort of encapsulated everything I'd done from the beginning of my musical career to where I was standing on the stage. And it also meant a lot to me that the guy that I wrote it with and the guy that produced the record with me had been Stephen Bray was somebody that I'd been with since my childhood. So he sort of came through it all the way with me, and that meant a lot to me. And it was also in the first movie I ever did.
Madonna as a performance in herself, so far,
Yeah.
the best. Tell me what's the best as far as your own performance.
Like, what's the best performance I ever did?
Yeah. Was it the MTV thing, launching the Virgin thing where it shocked the entire audience?
No,
just down the road
that was hard. I think the hardest thing I ever did, and any of all the entertaining that I ever did, was Saturday Night Live.
Your next role,
Yeah.
which has to be a serious role, which the critics are really going to analyse with microscopes.
Oh, yeah,
and,
for what?
And with scalpels, you know, because
Uh-huh.
you're doing it with your husband.
Yeah.
Tell us about this film.
I think
That is the bottom line.
they'd have their scalpels out whether I did it with Sean or not, believe me. They
Right.
would. They'd have their scalpels out whether I did it with Sean or not.
So can you just tell us a little bit about the movie?
The name of the movie is Shanghai Surprise, and it's a romantic adventure that takes place in Shanghai in 1938. And I play a missionary, and Sean plays a con artist who drinks a lot.
Okay, making this movie with the two of you,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing you over a day
Yeah.
of where I see the strength that it's Madonna, you know, and then seeing you with Sean of where he can really phase you. I mean, he can love, you can see it, you know.
What are you talking about?
Well, I think that,
This is personal stuff, right?
yeah, well, it sort of is, you know, that where another person can actually put Madonna second.
In other words, I actually care about what somebody else thinks about
Yeah.
me. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're in love with somebody. You give up a certain part of yourself. You have to become selfless in a way, and that's the trade-off.
Trying hard to control my heart. I walk over to where you are. Tonight we need no words at all. Slowly now we begin to move. We press some deeper into you.
Segue back to the boyfriend that I had who taught me how to play music, you know, guitar, and their band was looking for a drummer. So I said, hey, I'll play drums. I'll play drums, and he said, you don't know how to play drums. And I said, you want to make a bet? He went off to work every day because he had like a 9-to-5 job, and then he would we would rehearse at night, or he would rehearse with his band, and I would practice the drums for like hours and hours. Like, he didn't know I was doing it. So I just kept practicing and practicing, and then one day I said, can I just play for a rehearsal, you know, just give me a chance and everything, and so they let me, and then they were really impressed because I was good.
Okay, so from there?
So then I'm playing drums, and we're getting gigs in certain downtown clubs like CBGB's and the Mud Club and Max's Kansas City and everything. And I'm starting to write music for the band, too, like some songs, but they already had 2 singers in the band, so they would never let me get up and sing a song, because what's the point? So, so one day, I finally convinced them, meanwhile, you know, I'm playing drums, I'm also practicing guitar. I said, can I just do one song? I'll just play guitar and sing one song, please, 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 and they finally said, okay. So then, I got up to sing one song, and the other guy went back to play the drums, and like I got a standing ovation. That one moment in the spotlight in front of the band singing was like a really big high.
Right, so you've got a group, you're going to the clubs, you're going in and doing demos, and you're approaching record companies, and so there's hundreds of others.
Okay, so I befriended one DJ in particular, and he worked at a club called Danceteria, which was one of my favorite clubs. And we talked a lot about music, and I knew a lot about singers and a lot about different groups and stuff like that. And he said, how come you know so much about this? And I said, well, I'm really interested in music. And he said, well, in what way? And I said, I'm a singer. He said, no kidding. And I said, yeah, and I just happened to have this tape right here. I mean, I was carrying this tape around with me everywhere, to every club, waiting for the moment to pop it on somebody. So I said, would you play it? I said, would you play it? And he said, well, I can't play it in the middle of the night. I mean, I haven't heard it. What if it's terrible? What if everybody stops dancing? And I said, all right, well, you listen to it, take it home with you tonight and listen to it, and I'll come back here tomorrow, and if you like it, then you play it again. So that was a Friday night, and he went home, and then Saturday night I met him again. I came back before the club opened, and he said he really loved it. So he played it. He played 2 songs. One of them was Everybody.
You go into experiences of doing a film clip, of MTV being a baby and nurturing into something that it is now.
Right.
So your first film clip?
Well, I had a couple of singles out before anybody really knew who I was because I didn't have a video. And the first video I ever did was to Borderline, which was, by then, my, like, third or fourth single. So my album was doing fairly well without anybody being really aware of what my image was at all. And so I did my first video to Borderline, and then suddenly I had that crossover that I had been waiting for so long, because people could see who I was, they could put a face together with a song. And I owe a lot of the success of that song and the rest of the songs on that album to MTV and the exposure that videos give you.
But I mean, it was all a new experience for a lot of people, you know. I mean, like, America was not geared to video like, say, even Australia or England was, you know? That's
true, but I was really excited about it because, to me, it was like making little movies, and I've always been excited about that. So it was like confining it to the 3 minutes of the length of a song.
From what you said tonight, you're an inspiration to a lot of people who have the same inspirations, you know?
Yes.
What advice would you give anyone coming from a family?
To believe in your dreams, to do whatever. If you have something that you say you want to do, then it's your responsibility to make yourself happy and to be true to yourself, and that you can do it.
You now, and especially if you put the glasses on, can you just put them on?
Of course.
And I read in Interview magazine that one of your favourite actresses is Judy Halliday.
Yes.
You look like Judy Halliday with the glasses on.
Well, thank you.
Why did you like Judy Halliday?
Because she's funny.
They said she was dumb.
She's not dumb.
She won an Academy Award.
She was clever enough to make people think that she was when she wasn't, when she was actually smarter than everyone. That's pretty good, huh?
Have you been like that?
Clever?
Have you been clever to the point that other people may have underestimated your talent?
Oh, yeah, but that's really fun because that way, if everyone underestimates you, you keep giving them little surprises.
What's next? The album?
Next, I'm going to have a drink.
No. I mean next year.
Next year, I'm going to do the movie, Shanghai Surprise, and then the album's going to come out in the spring. I did a soundtrack for a movie that Sean just finished in Tennessee that's going to be out in the spring. I did that, you know, the title track from that. It's called Live to Tell, and then I have my album coming out, and then the movie that I'm doing in January will come out August. They plan an August release, but who knows.
For someone to look at you now, and dressed like that, to the person that's on the Virgin tour clip, is it the same person?
What do you think?